On April 13, 1992, workers in the sub-basement of the Chicago Merchandise Mart watched a small mud leak become a violent torrent of murky water. The crisis spread almost instantly. City Hall began to flood, massive trading floors across the loop abruptly shut down, and utility companies cut power to hundreds of buildings to prevent electrical fires. By mid-morning, an estimated 250 million gallons of water had vanished beneath downtown. Yet, on the surface, the streets were completely dry. The massive influx of water was invisible from the sidewalk. The water was draining into a forgotten 60-mile-long labyrinth of freight tunnels. As seen in this historical image, the network consisted of narrow-gauge tracks and tight concrete arches located 40 feet beneath the city. Water surged through these tunnels, flooding sub-basements across downtown. An obsolete transit network, mostly erased from public memory, had become a conduit for city-wide paralysis. Investigators identified the Kinzie Street Bridge as the center of the crisis, where the Chicago River flows directly past the city's dense skyscraper infrastructure. Right next to the bridge, the surface of the river had formed a swirling vortex. The current was too violent for human divers to approach, forcing crews to find another way to inspect the riverbed. Sonar equipment brought to the site eventually revealed the cause. A car-sized hole had been ripped into the floor of the river. This hole sat directly above the forgotten freight tunnels. The river washed away the protective blue clay layer, piercing the concrete tunnel's roof. The immense weight of the river shot through with enough force to collapse the bricked-up portals sealing off modern basements. By ignoring the physical connections to this obsolete infrastructure, the city had left an unmonitored artery open to the river. The breach was traced back to work performed months earlier. The Great Lakes Dredge and Dock Company had been contracted to replace the protective wooden pilings near the Kinzie Street Bridge. As contractors drove the new pilings into the riverbed, the shifting soil cracked the structural wall of the hidden 1906 tunnel. This damage was identified long before the flood. In January 1992, a cable television crew working in the tunnels discovered the crack and notified city officials. The city failed to act immediately, bogged down by bureaucratic delays while waiting for cheaper repair estimates. During those months of total inaction, the structural cracks silently grew wider and wider until the tunnel roof finally failed. When the wall finally gave out, triggering nearly $2 billion in losses, and left the loop paralyzed. This catastrophe was the result of a slow-moving chain of bureaucratic delays and a failure to account for the city's own subterranean history. Chicago eventually plugged the leak with mattresses and concrete, but the incident highlights a broader problem. Several major American cities are built directly on top of abandoned, forgotten subterranean layers. In Seattle, the city buried its original ground floors under 30 feet of dirt to raise the streets following the 1889 Great Fire. This archival photo shows the massive regrading effort that left the previous city level trapped in darkness. Indianapolis maintains a space known as the Catacombs, the surviving basement of Tomlinson Hall, a massive arena that stood until it burned in 1958. These subterranean spaces, including the Shanghai tunnels of Portland, or abandoned as cities modernized, often becoming hubs for illicit activity before being sealed off and forgotten. Today, modern sidewalks cover these hollow spaces, raising questions about what obsolete infrastructure or urban secrets might be crumbling beneath your own hometown. Chicago's experience proves that a city's most immediate vulnerability often exists in the forgotten, unmaintained history buried directly beneath its feet.